Welcome to the Arithmetic Zone, and today for our next website development video we're going to cover CSS. But before that, I wanted to show you the Amazon website because I wanted to show you how it's structured and how we're going to be using that knowledge today. So you see how everything is in a box? Like all these links here, these pictures and this text, they're all in this box. And then all of these boxes are in themselves in another box from this corner to that corner. You see how this navigation bar is a box and the header is a box, and if we scroll all the way down we see all these links. This is a box, this is a box, this is a box, and this is another box. All four of those boxes are inside another box, and then right here we see that same concept. So this is called the box model, and it's how websites using HTML are made and displayed. The HTML tags each create their own boxes, and then when we use CSS, which is another coding language that's responsible for the aesthetic of an image, we're going to get websites to potentially look like this. So anyway, let's get started by opening Visual Studio Code. As I said before, it automatically opens to the last coding file that you were working on, so it opens in my starter.html file. If I wait for the go live to show up and then press on it, it's going to start up and take me to this website. So we made this last time using just HTML, but like I said, it looks pretty bad and I want to make it look better. So how do we do that? We're going to use CSS. So over here we're going to right click, make a new file, and we're going to call it style.css. Make sure that the file extension ends with CSS. You can name what comes before anything you want. I just chose style. You just got to make sure that it's consistent. So if you want to link these two files together, what you do is go into your HTML code, where inside the head, after the title, you're going to write link, and then rel equals style sheet inside the quotes, and then href, which we previously saw in the A tag. And then inside here, this is what's important, we write style.css. Make sure it matches the name of your file, close it off, and save. Now, you're not going to see anything different yet because we haven't wrote anything in our CSS file, but let's get started with that anyway. So the way CSS works, it's actually incredibly simple. All you do is take a tag. So let's say body is a tag. You just write it out and then put a bracket, which automatically makes another bracket for you. And inside this is where we're going to have our code. So if we want to change our background color, we can write that background dash color. It auto-filled for me. And then I can change it to any of these colors. So let's say aqua. Then save this file. Make sure it ends with a semicolon. Each line inside of these brackets must have a semicolon. And if we go back to our page, wow, look at that. The whole page is now in this aqua color, and it makes sense because we chose to do this to the body tag, and the body tag includes all of our text, all of our images, and our links. Now aqua kind of hurts my eyes, so I'm going to change it to beige if I can. Alright, beige, save that, and now definitely a much more nice color to look at. Now this time I want to change the color of the text, and I'm going to choose a different HTML tag to put that on. So let's put this on H1. Y cars are cool. So again, all I write is H1, the tag name. Then I put brackets. And if I want to change the color of the text, all I write is color, colon, and then I can say change it to red. Make sure you put the semicolon at the end. You must include a semicolon in order for this to work. So I saved it, and now the H1 tag has this red color. Pretty cool. Now, what about H2? So H2, let's say I want to make it blue. Color blue, semicolon, save. And now both of these H2 texts are in blue. But what if I want to only make this one blue, but not this part? Well, unfortunately, there's only one way to tell the difference between them right now, and it's by what's inside the text. So we're going to need a different way to specify them. And this is where the concept of IDs and classes come in. So inside of this tag, if I want to make this tag unique, what I can do is give it an ID. And how do I do that? Space from this H2, then write ID equals, and then I can call this ID anything. So let's say blue. Save that, and it's not going to change anything yet. That's because we got to actually apply this ID into our CSS. So I'm going to change the name of this tag to what was the ID, which was blue, but that's not enough. As you can see, it's in white text, not in this yellow color, because it doesn't know what that is. To specify an ID name, what you have to do is in front of the ID name, you put a hashtag, and then you save that, and it should work. There you go. Now only this part is blue because we specified it with the unique ID. You should only be applying one unique ID to one unique tag. It gets a little messy when you put the same ID for multiple tags, but that's why we have classes. So let's say that I want to make this text purple and then this footer purple as well. And also on a side note, I'm actually going to move this footer. I'm going to move the whole footer down, like all the way at the end. Not there. Here. Because that's generally where footers are. They should be at the end of a document. But anyway, let's say I want to change this text to blue and then this text to blue. This is where we use classes because, you know, both of those have different tags. This has a footer, and then because they are, that text is inside of a P tag. So if I want to specify them both with the same settings in the CSS document, what I can do is inside of the tags, I write class equals and then another name. So let's say purple. It could be whatever you want. Just make sure it's consistent. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Save that. And now, again, I want to write the name, brackets, and color purple. But just like with IDs, it's not going to recognize this class normally. We're going to have a special character to specify that this is a class. For IDs, it's a hashtag. For classes, it's a period in front of the name. So we're going to save that. And now, as you can see, this text is in purple and this text is in purple. So we got all that to work. And on a side note, there's other ways to specify the color. You don't have to use these predetermined ways that Visual Studio Code just gives you. As you can see, when I hover over the color, it gives me that color's value in RGB, which is an additive color system, where you have three numbers from 0 to 255 that tell you how much red, green, or blue is in that color. And you can actually use this RGB in CSS by just writing RGB and then the three numbers separated by commas. So I believe that's what it told me for purple. If I save, it won't change anything. But let's say I wanted red. Red is denoted by the first number, and I want max red. So 255 and then 0 and then 0. And now the H2 tags are in red. There's also this extension of RGB called RGBA, where you have a fourth number that's between 0 to 1 that tells you how opaque an image is. So if I put 0.5, save, you see how the copyright and the paragraph text, it's slightly transparent. It's because I used 0.5. If I use the number 1 and we observe the result, everything is opaque. But if I use the number 0 and save, well, now you can't see it because it's completely transparent. The other way to represent colors in CSS is with hexadecimal, which is also an additive color system, but it's much more in depth. In RGB, it can tell you a range between many more colors than what RGB is capable of. And essentially, you have three numbers that are from 00 to FF, with each digit being from 0 to 9 and then A to F. So if I do hashtag and then 6 zeros, that should just be black because it's the absence of color. Then if I do the max value, which is all F's, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's white. If I save, you can see these texts are in white. You can barely see it though, so I'm going to change it back to black. Or better yet, I'm just going to change it back to purple. On another side note, if you want to have multiple classes, all you do is put a space in between here and then write another name, so big, and then save. Now I want to specify it, so dot big, and let's change the font size. And how do we do that? Font, and then dash size, and then let's say 100 pixels, denoted by px, and then semicolon. Save it, and wow, that's much bigger now. I'm gonna put it to 10 pixels to balance it out. Wow, that's a little too small. 20 pixels. Coding requires a lot of testing to find the perfect result, but just note that you cannot have multiple IDs. It makes sense because IDs are a unique attribute to a tag. You can have multiple classes for a tag, but not IDs. If you try to put another word here, say small, and then put in CSS code for it, it won't work. So keep that in mind when making these websites. Another thing to keep in mind is that IDs do have higher priority than classes, so a tag can actually have both an ID and a class. So let's also give this the purple class. So if we save, H2 is still going to be blue, it's not purple, and that's because IDs have higher priority, and I can prove it by going back to the hashtag blue and then changing the font family so you can see for a fact. So let's change it to cursive. It probably won't look that good, but oh, it's in Comic Sans. That's disgusting. But as you can see, that did change, while even though it has the purple class, that won't affect the color of the text because we say the color of the text here is blue and it has higher priority. But if I try to change something in this class section that's not specified in this ID section, so let's do background color, and then let's change it to whatever that color is. Now they all have that background color, and it's because we didn't even specify here that there should be a background color here. And note that this does have higher priority over body because it's actually inside of the body tag. But notice here, this is why I showed you the Amazon website before. You see how all these tags are just boxes across the screen, and then by changing the background color we can clearly see that. And then this background color can also reveal to us new methods: margin, padding, and border. So if I want to add a border, what I would do is first specify the pixels, then specify how it looks. So usually you want to say solid, and then finally the color. So let's say brown, semicolon, then save. Now all of these boxes now have this brown border, and I can change the size of it with this 10. Alright, but you know, the text is pretty tight in there. I want to increase the space between the border and the text, so I can use something that's called padding. Let's say 10 pixels. Save. And then now there's more space in between the text and the border. And you can actually specify how much padding you want depending on the direction. There's padding left, and let's say 20 pixels for padding left. You see how it shifted to the right? It's because we added extra space to the left. And there's a lot of padding options. You have padding top, you have padding bottom, and then also padding right. I'm not going to show all of them up, but I want to also show margin. Margin refers to the space in between the border and what's outside. So you see how these boxes are stretched all the way across the screen. I can use margin to fix that. So let's say 50, and it shouldn't be as squished in there. So anyway, that's going to conclude it for today. I wanted to give a basic introduction of CSS. This looks pretty ugly, but we're going to fix that in the next video. Hope you guys stay tuned and enjoy your day.